Hey everybody, I just thought I'd do a little bit of a loot update today. I'm pretty much finished with my French Indian War British regulars that I set out to do, minus the ones that end up being Hanoverians. I do have to just varnish them and put some flock on the base, so I thought maybe later in the week I'll actually get a display video up on those. Next up for my painting project, I'm going to actually work hard on the carriage. That's what I'm going to be doing, and then once finishing that, I'll be doing a little bit of beastmen, and then back to more British regulars and artillery after that. So I've got a bit of a plan as far as going forward as to what I'm going to be doing next painting-wise. And gaming-wise, I actually played a game of Saga last week, and Dark Ages. It was actually Scots versus a friend's Carolinians, French. I think I may have said that wrong, but I think it's Carolinians. And that was actually quite a good game. It was his first game. And then I also had a game of Dragon Rampant over the weekend, Goblins versus Dwarves, which was fun with a different friend. And so, yeah, I've gotten a couple of games in. So I've acquired a couple of things recently. And so I wanted to just kind of mention them, both miniatures as well as, not a ton of miniatures, which is good. But this just came in the mail today, actually, and it's the heavy metal, I should say, complete guide to painting Citadel miniatures. This is something that I've wanted for about a year to year and a half, I think, at least. It's, I believe, the first heavy metal publication that's not like a magazine that they give you for free, like a thin pamphlet, which I have one of those. I showed it once on the channel. And this, I think, is early 90s. I think it's 91, or it's 93, actually, is what it says right there. 93. And a lot of times, you know, for the old hammer stuff that I do, where I like to paint old Citadel stuff, a lot of times this book seems to be heralded by a lot of the people that like to paint in the classic style of Citadel miniatures as one of the better publications. Now, I've not compared them all, even like online excerpts and things like that. I know there are ones that they came out with later, even the heavy metal team, that were bigger, you know, probably had more stuff in them. But I do have an appreciation for seeing techniques that were used with what you had available to you at that time, and maybe they're not as prevalent today, and so it's still just a valid technique, right? And so I do like actually seeing these. It does appear to be in really good condition. I waited a while to purchase it because these actually are quite expensive. You know, I haven't actually completely gone through it yet, but it does seem to be, the binding seems to be really good. And they have like sort of some of your standard stuff here where they show you the materials. But like here, it's like a really good model preparation section. And I'm going to have to look through it just to see some of the differences from the past as compared to today. And I do find reading the materials of the time, you know, how to paint, when going back and painting old miniatures, to be inspiring a lot of ways, because it shows, even though I know I know I can be happy with the miniatures that are older that I paint now, and I have tried to actually borrow some of the old techniques at times, like using either black lining or a colored line, you know, to create some contrast rather than just washes and things like that. But I do find it inspiring to go back and actually look at them. It's kind of funny, even like here, this highlighting where they show you how to shade and highlight a face, but they actually have like a regular face, almost like an art book, which you don't normally see that today. Same thing with over here with the eyes. I'd never seen anything quite like that before in a miniature painting guide. That's very interesting. This is hair and fur, patterns and decoration. Very cool. A section on horses and like sort of the classic Citadel style. So I'm actually, and wow, they even go into like horse markings and stuff. It's really neat. And so a whole section on skeletons. Wow, who would have thought? War machines. So actually this is really neat. I think I'm going to really enjoy looking at this. You know, they even actually have this would have helped me a little while ago. It's talking about the epic game armies. That would have helped me a bit ago to reference. So I'm looking forward to, and there's a section on advanced techniques. I'm looking forward to going through this, and I'm really, really happy to have this. I think I'll do a video a little more in depth on this at one point, just to show folks. Ooh, got a hobby knife in between here. That is a hazard. Okay, so I also have the Age of Magic. It's funny. This has been hard to come by in North America. It came in, and one of my local well, actually, excuse me, it's not a local shop. It was there's a shop that I do occasionally order from online in Canada when I can't get things at my local shop, and I set a setting so I would know as soon as it's available on the computer, and literally while I was at work I got signal and I was like, excuse me, I have to go for a moment. I basically ordered this thing as fast as I could to make sure I got this, and I don't have them here, but and I don't have the battle boards it comes with right out here because I've opened this up, but I also got the spell cards. There are these cards that are just convenient to put on the table to play with whatever spell you've chosen, for your faction, during the game, so you can follow the rules. But I will do a review of this, but I'll just quickly say that I'm actually really happy with what I've seen. I mean, it's a nicely thick book for one of these are the more expensive books for Saga when you choose your universe to play in. They have a lot of info, and in this case, I would say you probably get the most info than most of the universes because it's actually teaching you it's giving you new units and how to use spells. It's not just, and it's also giving you your army profiles, and so it's giving you, a lot of times the other ones, they do give you like equipment and new things. I found the Age of Vikings to be a very good book, but in a lot of ways this one has more, because in order to enable the fantasy universe they needed to put some extra things in there that you wouldn't necessarily need for a standard historical universe. So far I'm really pleased. I'm excited. I am going to talk a little bit, because I love the Age of Vikings and I love the historical saga. This was more to be able to use things like my Beastmen and all that, and because I love the actual saga universe already and playing it, but I'm really keen to continue to play historical saga as well. And what I would say is I'm going to do a video at one point on just what I think at this point of the Saga system and how they've done it in version 2. And then also I'll likely do a separate video on my thoughts on Age of Magic, because I do have some thoughts on Age of Magic and how it's going to relate, to Saga, it's actually quite popular, and how that's going to affect the historical side. I just have some thoughts on that, so I'm going to talk about that in the future as well. Kind of a simple thing, but I was actually, as many of you know that have been watching the show, I've been attending Tabletop Commanders on occasion, and I noticed that Curtis over at Tabletop Commanders had one of these magnifying things. Now, I've showed in the past that I have this thing, which is conveniently right over here, and I use this for eyes and things, and it helps me. I do like it, but I do find that it gets in the way of my brush sometimes when I'm painting. That little magnifying thing, I have to work around it, and it just requires a lot of positioning. So I thought, well, maybe I should try one of these. Now, they're not totally cheap. I was able to get one of their coupons over at Michael's and get this for 40% off. But this is a 2 to 3 times Magnification Visor. Now that I'm using this, I really love it. I actually find that even any sort of details, I find that I'm at a disadvantage if I don't use it. And so I've really enjoyed it. The one thing that I found, though, is that I need to use the 2 times, not the 3 times, which is more powerful. You might think that's weird, but in order to use it at a 3 times magnification, I have to put it about 4 inches from the visor. Like, you actually have to bring it in towards you, and that's not comfortable for me. Whereas at the 2 times, I get a lot extra magnification, and I wear glasses to begin with, and I see 20/20 with my glasses. And so I have pretty good vision as long as I use my glasses. And so with this and using the 2-time magnification, I'm able to have it out at a comfortable length and paint and still actually have quite an advantage. And so I really have enjoyed using this. If anybody's even considering trying one of these out, I actually find now, after all the years I've been hobbying, I should have done this sooner. I do have a couple miniatures I was just going to show. You guys know that I have this long-term project I'm planning for AD&D Battle Systems, 15 mil. And what I picked up is some Old Hammer stuff that, let me just turn here and focus a bit. What I have here are some old Ral Partha miniatures that I'm planning on using as giants and large creatures for 15 mil. I think they're designed for 25 to 28. And adjust the lighting here. Let's see what we can do. So this is Hecatron is actually the name. And he's holding a morning star. He's got like a, it's hard to see here, but he's got like a stick in his hand. And he's leaning down, like he's stooping forward to look at something, you know, or he's like stalking. It's very menacing looking, and I've always really liked this miniature. It's a classic Ralpartha miniature. Literally, there was a game that they made at one point, and like had Hecatron as a character. He's a fire giant. And so I'm going to use Hecatron and paint him up as a fire giant in AD&D Battle Systems. Okay, and so really looking forward to this. I've wanted him for a long time, probably about the same amount of time as the Heavy Metal magazine. I've really wanted him. Now, the person I bought him from also had 2 Ralpartha Cyclops. And these are kind of cool too. And I thought, why not pick these guys up as well and use some Cyclops in my game of AD&D Battle Systems. And so I'm going to have to port them over from the Monster Manual, which you can do, because you can basically take anything from the Monster Manual and just follow their formula and port them right into the Battle System rules. Yeah. So that's about it. I kind of told you what I'm going to be up to next. I just have to put something a bit more interesting in front. I do have to finish the basis up on my French Indian War stuff, but I'm quite happy with how they came out. I think it was the right thing for me to do to push through, but I do think also that not having to do the extra 13 and go up to 45 at once was probably a little bit of a relief in disguise. And so I got this stuff done. Took a bit of work, did bang them out, and quite happy. So I hope everybody's weeks are going well. And I do want to mention, everyone, that there is the last show of our season for the Musty Wargamers, episode 13, will be on Thursday at Rusty's channel. We have a couple of good topics for this week picked. And if you guys are free to watch live, by all means, come in, comment, hang out with everybody. Everybody talks to each other. If not, feel free to watch it later when we upload it to YouTube. Take care, everybody.